It's Die Hard at Sea, just with less personality. Under Siege, released in October of 1992 with a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes and directed by Andrew Davis, starring Steven Segal, Gary Busey, Tommy Lee Jones and Erica Eleniak. Eleniak? A production budget of $12 million, a domestic take of $83 million, a foreign take of $73 million, for a worldwide total of $156 million, giving a very tidy profit of $144 million. That is a huge return on investment. So let's look at the main characters here. You've got Steven Seagal, of course, as Casey Ryback. Ryback the cook, the ex-SEAL cook. Not a bad character, actually. Quite stoic, quite the tough guy. The likable tough guy who very clearly has major problems with authority. I did say likable, but I don't mean charismatic. He is not the most lovable sort of character, and that almost monotone and constant voice that he has, it's not exactly warm, or at least not your relatable male lead. Interesting time, the 90s. You could get all manner of things. On the flip side, of course, you have Stranix, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who is always captivating. All of the personality missing Seagal ended up with Mr. Jones. And it shows. He is a very engaging, very dynamic sort of character. A lot of fun, even as a psychotic madman, a lot of fun as a bad guy. They often say your hero's as good as the bad guy. Well, in this case, I think the bad guy was much more of a presence than Seagal ever was during the movie. Busey playing Commander Krill. Krill! Haha! That's a nautical joke, isn't it? Krill, the little bugs. He really is a bit of a psycho. He's just not a nice guy in any respect. Even when you first meet him, you don't like him. And you're not meant to, and Busey plays it up very well. Another smart and driven character. A different sort of personality, a different sort of charisma or machismo than Stranix has, but comes across as your commanding officer or boss that you never ever want to have. And everyone kind of knows someone a little bit like this guy. So he makes a pretty compelling bad dude. Jordan Tate, a very unexpected sidekick for this movie. When I first saw her in the cinemas, I kind of thought, there we go, the bimbo's on board. And she does play it at the start, a bit, but then develops in this kind of capable and very useful, quite intelligent sidekick, who ends up being hip deep in all the trouble with Ryback because she's quite convinced the only place that's safe is next to him. And she's not entirely wrong. She's fun, she's bubbly, quite cute, and to be honest, has a better range of acting than Seagal. Again, that's a bit of a shame. Whole bunch of other characters in here, but what I want to talk about is the fact, having watched Fugitive, you go back and watch this movie, and I picked out 5 or 6 faces from this crew, from this cast, that also turned up in The Fugitive. And knowing that the director went straight from Under Siege onto The Fugitive, you can see that he's gone, yeah, I worked with you, and you, I liked you, come with. So that would have been a very interesting casting call, I think, for that movie. It's like, oh yeah, you guys, come on over, let's do it again. Characters overall, though, alright. I'll go ahead and give characters on this one a 3. They're generally good, if not a little bit better than good. Sadly, your main character, though, is a bit of a wooden plank. Then again, what he's needed for in this movie doesn't require a great range of acting. That's what the other characters are for. So we'll give that a pass, and we'll give it a 3. Story. Okay, the story. The more I think about the story, the less of it there is. I mean, you're caught up in Ryback running around knifing bad guys, taking out mercenaries, and just messing up Stranix's plan. You're caught up in that, and that feels like a big story. But when you look at it, it really isn't. There really isn't much going on here. It's good, but it's contained, and it's quite limited in a lot of ways. Story is a whole bunch of mercenaries hijack a ship that's destined for decommission. They're taking it because it's full of useful weapons, particularly a bunch of tomahawks, especially the nuclear armed ones. They're going to sell the tomahawks, sell off the weapons, sell off the bits, probably steal the whole boat. They didn't go into their final plans for the boat, but I imagine they would have been pinched off and sold off to someone as well. It's a great big smash and grab, really. The mercs land on board under the cover of a birthday party for the captain. The captain is killed by the 2IC, round up all the sailors and confine them in the front or in other little rooms and just pack them away on the ship. Overall, the plan is a very good one. It's executed very, very well, very, very fast. Clean, done, dusted. And unfortunately for them, they forgot about the cook. The cook, of course, is Ryback, the ex-Navy SEAL who was demoted or disciplined or something for punching out an incompetent field commander, and so they just stuck him on here. So the rest of the movie is about Ryback creeping around the ship, taking out bad guys, trying to stop them from doing what they're doing. He also enlists a ragtag group of leftover trapped sailors that he found downstairs, happen to know half of them, and utilize their skill sets to do so. Really getting in the way of Stranix's plan, makes a couple of phone calls home to high command, chop, 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 stab, stab, fight, fight, shoot, shoot, and pretty much clean ship. Nice little knife fight at the end, all bad guys are dead, everything needs to be blown up, is blown up, day is saved. That's pretty much the story. That's it. We're done here. Like I said, not a lot to it. It's all about the how. How does he creep around? How does he take people out? Watching him being the stealthy super commando, doing shadowy, stealthy things. Unless he's engaged in a major firefight in a couple of corridors. That's very noisy. Not very stealthy at all, really. It's a fun little demonstration of how the high-ups in the military command structure would react to this sort of thing. It's all pure speculation and fiction, but it makes you wonder how it would work. How would it play out? It's one of those stories where it's not much to it at all, but the setting and the setup makes it interesting. And it's not until later that you realize that, yeah, not much meal on that plate. Overall, the story does what it's meant to do. And it entertains you and it interests you, and it disguises the fact that there really isn't all that much going on. So I don't think it was all that bad. I'll be going ahead and giving the story a 3. A well-delivered story in a small contained scenario. Look and feel was that of a large naval vessel. And it was exactly on point, mainly because they filmed on a large naval vessel. There was a lot of on-ship filming, which was appreciated, because it felt cramped, it felt closed, it felt confined. It never felt like a movie set. Every time they're on the ship, it looked and felt and behaved and was dressed up to look exactly like what it was, and it felt cramped, it felt contained. It felt like a very difficult place to be. Also, equally difficult place to find someone if they were determined to hide. A very unique setting, which again sold this very limited story very, very well. It's chock full of 90s tech, which, as you know, I love. And it's got the screens and the buttons and the whistles and the dials and the twisty things and the boomy stuff. It was great. All that tech was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed that. Again, it just set itself up to be extremely believable. Until they're back at High Command. High Command, very definitely a set. Large and spacious, with very military angles and big screens, and lots of people sitting around a great big war desk. It looked like a movie set. It was a movie set. It was a functional one. It wouldn't have been a problem if you weren't jumping from that scene back to the ship again. And the ship looks real, and the set does not. And the ship looks real, and the set does not. However, they were smart about it. It's always dark lit with downlights and little things in the background. At no stage do they give you a shot too wide or an angle so great that it felt like it was in a car park somewhere. They just whacked a bunch of walls up. They spent their time and energy in that room focusing on the characters that were delivering all the lines and the, well, personal energy to the scene. So that helped a lot. Uniforms look good, costumes look good, everything presented as it should. Sleek, taut, well done military. The good guys, the bad guys, everyone fit into their scene exactly. When Tate is running around in all the black gear, the tactical stuff, because, you know, Ryback doesn't want her standing out, she actually looked quite military. She looked quite mercenary. Well lit, well shot, good use of music. It's 90s use of music, okay? So it's okay. It doesn't detract from the scene. It does stand out every now and then, but it's not the saint. Oh, and the fights are choreographed quite nicely. You get to see the action. There's not too much shaky cam. It's all quite clear what's going on. And then it's also very quick, nasty, and brutal. So that didn't hurt at all. Overall, for look and feel, not much more to say. I'm going to go ahead and give look and feel a 3.5 because the ship is perfect. Everything about the look of this movie sells itself to the rest of the movie. It works very well. Script and dialogue was okay. When they laid out all their information, when they laid out all the exposition, the plot points, they presented everyone sufficiently. You knew who was the good guy, who was the bad guy. You were pretty clear on everyone's intentions, directions, instructions. There was not much ambiguity. You weren't having to wonder what was happening. You knew what was happening because they either told you or they told each other in a way that explained it to you. It doesn't dwell on much. It doesn't loiter on things unless it's important to the sequence. And even then, if it is loitering, it then cuts back to something else that's happening so you can see that everything's kind of simultaneous. For example, when Ryback and Tate are in the engineering room and he's making a bomb to disable the submarine that's turned up, it's your montage of building things and making something, and the music's playing and it's quite appropriate and the characters are working away without any dialogue. But then it cuts back to other things happening on the ship, then cuts back to them, then cuts over here, then cuts back to them. So even though it dwells on there for, I don't know, what, maybe a good 5 minutes, it doesn't feel uninteresting. You're not like, oh, come on, let's get to it. You're quite engrossed in what's happening and you're watching somewhat intensely. And watching Tate watch intensely and helps you get involved in that sequence. It's a lot of showing and looking and watching and camera angles following and trailing around, so you're knowing what's happening without it being said. They're clever in that regards. Now, Boosie's on point. He's always good. Tommy Lee Jones, fantastic. Watching those two go back and forwards, very nice. Well, the lines from Tate are quite good. She just comes across quite naturally. It's just circumstantial stresses and all those sorts of things. On that point, when she has to finally shoot someone, she doesn't like it and she's crying. And she's crying for the next couple of scenes too. She looks quite shaken up by this choice. I did like that. It's Segal, unfortunately. Everything he delivers is this monotone, half whisper, half growl sort of thing going on there. Kind of wooden, not a lot of inflection, not a lot of effort or personality or warmth or anything in his voice. Just statement, 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 statement. I mean, it works for him. It matches his face, which is also largely devoid of personality. I don't know. And yet, he was quite engaging to watch. I think it's that whole dangerous, animalistic thing going on there. He's like that silent and stealthy hunter sort of thing. He was definitely outshone by everyone else in the show, though. Everyone else and their characters and their delivery, and pretty much everyone outdid him in delivery and performance. But at the same time, was he really there for much more than kung fu and knife work? Alright, yeah, I know, it's Aikido. He does Aikido. Not kung fu. Okay, everyone be calm. I think that's about it for script and dialogue. There's not much more to say on this. I mean, generally, it's good. It's a 3. It's good. It does everything it needs to do. There's no real major flaws. I would mark it a bit lower for the lack of persona in Casey Ryback. But Casey Ryback really didn't really have any, and he didn't really need any. He comes across as that guy. I suppose it really comes down to additional knowledge. Like, having watched nearly all of Segal's movies, I know he's the same dude in every single one. It's the same range of acting. It's the same way they bring a character across. There's not much to him, if anything at all. So I can't say that this is a bad example of Segal, because this is actually perfect Segal. Yeah, alright, I'm going to leave it at a 3. Script and dialogue gets a 3. Fun factor. Okay, is this a fun movie? Not really. I wouldn't call this a fun movie. I do call it an engaging movie. I would call it an engrossing movie. I call it a classic 90s action movie. I felt the thrill of the hunt around this ship. I enjoyed it for a whole variety of reasons. So I think I asked the wrong question. Did I enjoy watching this movie? And the answer is yes. I don't have any trouble giving this one a 3 for fun factor as well. Final score. Okay, we add all these up. We get ourselves a 15.5. Not bad at all. Had a good time. We'll watch it again undoubtedly. And we'll of course recommend it to any fan of the 90s action genre, or just generally action movie genre at all. Because this movie has also been copied and reused and reused and reused a lot since. You'll see quite a few movies out there that mimic this style of movie, and that's very enjoyable. Of course, this is also a bit of a mimic of Die Hard and a whole bunch of other ones before it. Still, I had a good time with it, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching this review. Please like and comment, subscribe, share my review around, and as usual, I hope that you're having a great week and that you find some time to go and watch a movie.